like we mentioned, I'm Victoria. This is my husband, Patrick, and we're going to go over the do's and don'ts that we've learned over the years. So this picture on the left is actually us when we first started. You could tell some things have changed really with Patrick and Miss Mickey. I think me and Mr. Carey look the same. It's really these two that had some changes, some hair changes, I think is the main thing. So it's been 4 years. There's about a 4-year difference between when we started and now where we are. For anyone who would like to follow along on our Instagrams, these are our Instagram accounts where we post day-to-day life, and we post, things about our business and some things that might be a good idea for you to be posting on your pages as well. So moving right along, Patrick is going to start with number 1.
Oh, y'all get it up close and right into my nostrils. So my first point and a do would be to paint your vision. This is something that was really hard for me at first. I was really distracted and I guess unaware of what my predispositions in my mind were to not allowing me to really step into what was being said at the luncheons that I was attending, at the events that I was attending, and to really see what they were trying to teach me and how to be able to step forward and move forward in this business. And really the first thing is painting your vision. And so, hang on, I'm trying to figure out how to use this. So anyway, I'll just start from the beginning. I was 19, 20 years old when I was talking to Carey about this business. He met me, I met him and Miss Mickey at a restaurant that I was serving at. And when we started the conversation, he said, "Hey, I see that you want to be a personal trainer." He asked a lot of questions and I was very intrigued by that. And he asked, "Well, why don't we maybe sit down and talk about how we could do business together in the athletic fitness training world?" Because that was what I really was aspiring to be. And he had let me know it was in the whole food nutrition business. And so we went to lunch, and that's where it happened. And he painted this big old vision for me. And it was it was big for me at 19, 20 years old. It was really a lot more than I was able to digest. I wish I would have digested it sooner, but you know what? At the time definitely was a good factor because it allowed me to understand. But I really needed help in learning what I was seeing in front of me, because there was a lot of things that I wasn't wrapping my head around because I was just really, I guess I would just call myself immature at the time. I wasn't listening to the facts and what business and this product could have to offer for me. So at the beginning, all I was really worried about was building muscle and in the supplement world and seeing that. And I saw this product to me. Now, this was my kind of closed-minded vision, as I saw a lot of women in the forefront. And I couldn't see how that could be a great, or how this was an advantage for me, or not even just the women aspect, but how I could step in and be and how I could use this as an asset for me and how I could be an asset to the business. And so again, I was just worried about what was going to be on my plate to build the most muscle. And this was all I was looking at. And even then I had pre understandings of just a lot of over-the-counter medicines, over-the-counter supplements and vitamins and minerals. And who knew that, research on good health as far as your health markers was important. I was 19. I didn't realize that was good stuff. I hope that's making you laugh right now, because I don't think any 19-year-old really understands the value of. We got some background noise that's distracting. Anyway, who knew that health markers were important? Again, I was just not getting it at a young age. And who knew that living a healthy life as a strong dad or a healthy dad was important? I needed to, I guess you could say, grow up. And like Victoria shared that picture, this was also the same day. This was one of our first pictures together. And I guess you could say that I grew up a little bit, or I like to think so, that I grew up a little bit in my thinking and just in my life. But there's 2 things that I want to give you to help you maybe move through the block that might be in front of you from really being able to paint your vision and really paint your vision with this company, because I think that there's got to be a harmony between those 2, because you can't just want to do your own thing and not really I guess, buy into our culture, because our culture is the reason why we're successful. And so what I would say is if you hear a story or a struggle that somebody might be going through and you can relate with it in any type of way, relate with it, like do it, because it's going to allow you to bring out what's inside of you that might be the struggle that could take you forward, and that could really give you that solid ground to work on and to share with people as to why you are passionate about our product, about our business, and just your mission. And then nextly is just paint that big vision, that super big vision, no matter how crazy it seems. I've been listening to a lot of mentors in front of me, and they just talk about their vision was it looked unattainable to people, and people would call them a little crazy. And when I tell people about what Victoria and I's goals are, they kind of are like, man, you're a little out of my ballpark. And I'm like, that's okay, but have a vision, because you're not going to know where you're going. It's going to keep you on course. And that's the most important thing. But the problem is that we are our own Achilles heel. Like, we are the ones that are keeping us away from actually moving along with the herd. Like, we see what's happening here, and we see that there's people moving forward in our business, and it's awesome. It's encouraging, and we want to be a part of it, but we're holding ourselves back. And if you're not paying attention, you might end up like this guy and just run yourself right out, because you're not doing the practices. For me, when I was learning about creating my story, on the Freedom Revolution, and I was listening to, again, my 19, 20-year-old brain, and I hope, and I'm not trying to be ugly or anything, but when I was watching a lot of women give trainings to me, my ego was in front of me, and I wasn't listening to what was happening. And I needed to grow up and understand that these people they're just trying to give me the fundamentals and the basics of what's happening here, and why what we do makes sense. And it's all about being able to get out of your own way and realize what's happening, to be able to paint your vision. And this is an amazing quote and just an awesome picture of, if you can just get out of your own way, it's amazing what will come to you. And when I finally dropped it, and it took, Victoria stepping forward and me seeing that she was just willing to learn. And then I finally, for something about it, a lot, Miss Mickey will joke with me all day and said it was because there was a pretty girl that was in front of me that was kind of motivating me. That might be true. I'll give that to you, Miss Mickey. But it also was the fact that I finally I saw that, like, you know what? Here's a person who just wants something more in life, and I want more, but I'm too surrounded by my own ego, and I'm surrounded by other egos that are telling me negative things that I needed to stop listening to, and I needed to start listening to what my gut was saying, because I was looking at the information of what Juice Plus had to offer. Me and Carrie talked about it multiple times. He walked me through, simple, very simple trainings. If you've ever had a call with Carrie, it's simple, but I couldn't. It was too simple for me to just go forward. And so get out of your own way, let it happen. When I finally got out of my own way and I was listening to what was there, I kind of realized again how much of a dreamer I was, how big of an imagination I could really have. I was a kid that wanted to be, the best pro athlete in the world, and I let those dreams run away, and that's something that hurt me and it distracted me. That was probably one of the reasons why I couldn't let somebody else help me dream. Carrie was trying to help me dream and help me look for more. And you probably have somebody in your support team who's there trying to help you dream. And I realized that I can be different. This is kind of a funny picture, but I wanted to be different. This is a different world for many people. Our business is different. And it's very hard for them to understand, but I kind of realized that that's okay. And I can stay true to that, and they don't have to understand what I'm saying. And I realized that, I wanted to make money, or I wanted to go and do something that was going to produce a fruitful life to myself. And that's all good. And so my last thing is, once I realized what I could do and what my imagination had to offer, I started to realize that I needed to learn what we had here, what e-commerce meant, our drop shipment type program. I needed to understand how a lot of businesses operated. I needed to learn what network marketing could do. and direct sales could do. And I wanted to learn the potential of growth that was in front of us. And so again, paint your vision, because when you really paint your vision, you become super clear with it. You start to make every step forward in the right direction. I mean, I love an example like this. If you're going from, let's say I'm coming from Louisiana, I think a lot of us, or some of us on here are from Louisiana. Maybe you're going from Louisiana to Florida. Okay, I know in my mind that I need to get on I-12 or I-10, and I need to go east. At least I'm not going west, because that's where I was going. I needed to redirect and go east. But the point is that I at least had the right step or the right foot forward. If I had my vision forward, and that's enough for maybe somebody just new getting started, is to just have that one step forward. Because when you just take that step forward, when we took our first step forward, we had no idea where this was going to bring us. We had no idea what was going to happen. I knew the fundamentals that were in front of me now, and I had my vision, and that was all that mattered. And some of us are stopping ourselves because we don't know what's going to happen. You know, after you start I mean, luckily from Louisiana to Florida, I-10 is pretty much all you got to take. But you got to think about it as you're going. There's things that clear out and allow you to keep moving in the right direction to where you want to go. And so maybe you're a little seasoned, and you're at your times where it gets tough, because Victoria and I both go through times where it's tough. You know what we do? We talk about our vision again, or we recenter with that, and we think about, okay, these things have happened. What can I do to keep myself on track and in my values and in my boundaries to stay moving to where I want to be? And the more that it happens, the more your vision becomes clear, and you stay focused and you stay on path. And it's amazing how all of these pictures are just things that have happened in my life that I would have never imagined if I didn't stay true to what was going on and what I wanted to do in life. And some of my friends look at me crazy, and I just maybe show them a picture like this. And this is what our business does, is we have the most simple, amazing product, and it's so hard for you to get, but I hope I can enlighten you on that. And so I'm gonna pass it over to Victoria and let her do her second do.
All right, so good. This is our little dog, Scooter. He was whining. He wanted to be part of our PowerPoint. So my second point is, do understand the fundamentals of this business. And some of you guys might have heard me say some of these things before, but this is just so true to my heart and understanding moving forward. They're so fundamental. And the first thing is the catch. Talking to people. How do we find them? How do we talk to them? And how do we invite them to take a look? So what is the catch? You know, people say, oh, well, you know, there's this great opportunity. There's benefits when you get to the top. You can work when you want, where you want, with who you want. You get to be around positive people. Like it's too good to be true. Like, what's the catch? Like, someone has always asked me, what's the catch? Well, there is a catch. And the catch is that you must be willing to accept a temporary loss of self-esteem from ignorant people. What does that mean? That means that you will get burned. You will have people make fun of you. I mean, I remember, and I'm sure Miss Mickey remembers too, because I came to her crying. When I started, someone made an Instagram account making fun of me, making fun of like, oh, the little Juice Plus girl and all of this stuff. And it was so hurtful, because actually the person that was doing it, I thought she was my friend. And I had to be willing to take a temporary loss of self-esteem from ignorant people. And it was hard, but when you can do that, that's when you're going to grow in this business. So how do we do that? Well, to be able to do that, you have to have a belief in three things. And that's the product, the business, and yourself. And if you're not 10 out of 10 on all of these things, we're going to have challenges, because when you face a challenge, if you're not confident, you're going to second guess yourself. But I'm so confident in this product. Oh my gosh. Like when I started, I didn't have that confidence in the product. I thought it was just another supplement. I didn't know. Like my mom used to give me Juice Plus when I was a kid, and I threw it away. Like I didn't understand what this product really was doing in our bodies until it happened to me, right? Until I started having better things happen in my body. This business, I was pretty always confident in the business because I saw the Daigles and I saw what they did. And I thought if they can do it, I can do it. If anyone can do it, I can do it because I was taught growing up that I can do anything if I just work for it. And then yourself, which is a lot of times where people don't have the belief, because what happens is when you start to have that rejection or that someone making fun of you or whatever it is, you think, well, maybe I can't do this. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I shouldn't be the one to do this. Right. And if we can be strong in all of those, what happens is when that happens, because I remember when I told Miss Mickey and Mr. Carey, they laughed. They laughed at the girl. And it was just they had this radiant confidence of like, she's the dumb one. She's the dumb one. I mean, she doesn't have a dishwasher that works in her house. And here we are, building something for our future. So if you don't have belief in these three things, I really recommend like it's okay because I didn't start there. I didn't start with 10 out of 10 belief in all of these, but get there. Look at the videos and the research if you don't know about the product. If someone says, "Do you do network marketing?" and you don't say, "Hell yeah," then you've got some research to do on network marketing. You've got some research to do on the business because I'm so proud to be in network marketing. And then yourself, if you don't feel that of yourself, read books, be around people that are bigger than you and higher than you and stronger than you. That's something that people always will make fun of me. They're like, "Do you only hang out with 40-year-olds?" And I'm like, "No, but I hang out with people that inspire me because I want to be better." And hanging around sometimes people my age that are partying and doing all that stuff, that doesn't inspire me. So be around those people. So I like this quote because I read this when I was about 3 years into the business, going through some challenges. It's going to take 1 year to become confident and profitable in network marketing, to know the basics and cover your expenses, and you will be learning. 1 year to just cover the expenses of your product. I mean, that's $100 a month. 1 year. It's going to take 1 year to make that $100 a month. That gave me a peace of mind of like, wow, like this is a process. This does take time and that's okay. It's going to take 3 years of consistent part-time effort to go full-time. Well, I've been in the business for 3 years and I'm not full-time. Well, have you been doing consistent part-time effort? And that is effort of things that are income producing, not just getting on trainings and reading books. No, have you been consistently inviting people to take a look? It's going to take 5 years of consistent effort to become a six-figure earner and 7 years of consistent effort to become an expert. These numbers aren't exactly everyone. I mean, these aren't true to my journey at all. And most people I know that's not, but this should give you a deep breath of like, it's a process. It's 7 years to become an expert. And if you've been in the business for more than 7 years and you don't consider yourself an expert, what's our answer? Consistent effort. Have you been there? Consistent effort, inviting people to take a look for those years. So what I do in this business, maybe this will help you kind of understand like the day in the life of me in building, is I started off with a list and I color coordinated my list because yes, I'm OCD. And it's just like what the Freedom Revolution teaches us. Red is I don't know them. Yellow is I sort of know them. Green is they're a good friend. I can just talk to them regularly. And then light blue I put as they're going through the process, or better known as they've been exposed. We've said something about Juice Plus, they are exposed. They are the ones that are very, very important in the next couple of days. And then dark blue is talk to them later. They either said no or they're going through something right now. So I have this list. And when I go and, okay, I have to do some Juice Plus today. I may have about 3 hours and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to work. Well, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to take out my list and I'm going to talk to people of each color. I'm going to talk to 3 people that are red. And just whether it's online or I give them a call or whatever, I'm going to talk to 3 people that are red. I'm going to talk to 3 people that are yellow, 3 people that are green, and I'm going to follow up with every single one of my light blues. So that's what I do when I do Juice Plus. And that conversation, it's really getting to build that relationship, getting to know where they are and trying to find a place to where it's appropriate for me to share with them about what I'm doing. So many people will say like, well, I don't really know that many people, or I've talked to everyone I know, or I don't have a way to meet new people, or the people I know aren't interested and I don't see people all day. It's funny. So in this, you have to network on purpose. I think about the people that I'm networking with right now. I didn't know them 4 years ago. No, I purposely met them. I purposely, the people that I call right now in my funnel, the people that I'm trying to share Juice Plus with right now, I didn't know them 4 years ago. And they're high level people. And how did I meet them? Because I learned how to network and I learned how to look for the people that I'm looking for. High level people. I'm out there, I'm at networking events, I'm joining book clubs, I'm going to different gyms and searching people on Instagram to meet new people. I'm going to share just a few examples of like how I met some people or how I'm starting conversations. And it just goes to show that you can always be talking to people. So this, my dentist, are you talking to your dentist? Because I always do. I always talk to my dentist. I went to the dentist 3 days ago and we started talking about Juice Plus, like because what they ask is, oh, well, are you how's your week going? Oh, it's going pretty good, not too crazy. I work from home. I have my own business. And they say, well, what is it? Oh, it's Juice Plus, it's fruits and vegetables. You have to bring it up, right? You have to sprinkle it in to where the conversation comes up. I talked to my dentist. When we were on a cruise 3 years ago, there was this drunk guy and I was reading a book and I was just like, you know what? I'm never going to see this person again. So guess what I did? I said, bro, apparently you were drunk last night, huh? And he was like, yeah, it's crazy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, do you eat vegetables like ever? Like, my goodness, you apparently had a lot of drinks. And he was like, oh, I need to. And I'm like, did you know that they come in a capsule? And he was like, what? He bought Juice Plus and he took it for 2.5 years. I mean, that was just a silly conversation. When I went to Mexico, I went to work with the girls over there for about 2.5 months. Well, I also was going to be building another line of my business. I wasn't just going to only focus on that one line. So what did I do? I Googled personal trainers and coaches in Mexico City because we were there in Mexico City. And guess what? I found some and I have some that I'm still working with today to share Juice Plus with. So always, talking to people. Talk to people and invite them to take a look. The end. And I'm not going to go too much into this so that we can get through all of our other points. But what to you feels better out of these two pictures? When I think about the Daigles and I think about how they recruited me, I feel like this. Like, I feel like they just welcomed me into their life and we just looked out and gazed at the sunset. Like, that's how I felt. I did not feel like they were about to shoot me at all. You want to be a farmer, not a hunter. And you'll know if you're going to be like that, if you're being like that and what that feels like, and what it feels like when you're genuinely just caring about a person. So what I found was interesting is I didn't realize how much I didn't listen until I started listening, and I'm still getting better on it. But so many times you hear people say like, yeah, we've been struggling really bad right now financially as a family, and we just hear it, but we're not even hearing it, right? We just aren't really there in that moment. Or someone saying like, yeah, I've really got to try to eat healthier. Yeah, me too, blah, blah, blah. That was your shot. That was your opportunity. And we weren't fully, our ears weren't fully on to listen to what that person was really saying. And so I encourage everyone just to really listen, because people are saying they need this. I mean, the things that people send the most prayer requests to churches, guess what they are? Finances and health. And we have the answer to both of those. So really, really listening. So the recap here of this point is the catch. People will think you're crazy. You say thank you and you go to the next person. We have to have belief in the product, the business, and ourselves, and we have to have grace. And I'm going to talk about that later. We have to have a list, and you always want to be adding to your list every day. Add to the list. Did you meet someone today? Well, you didn't do your job. Go to a grocery store, meet someone, add them to your list. Become a professional friend maker by farming and not hunting. Listening to people's needs, listening, and spend time going back to the list and constantly having conversations with people to build those relationships.
Yes. Well, real quick, I love how Victoria, what she was saying. I can't see myself, so hang on just 1 second. Where am I? There we go. I want to make sure you're not looking at it like that. I couldn't tell where I was in the camera. Anyway, Victoria's, I mean, that's why I love this business, because like this, I never understood how to think entrepreneurially. She made a point at kind of at the beginning of her talk saying how she was brought up to think that whatever you want to do, you can do it. And my parents definitely encouraged me to I guess go after what I dreamed of, but maybe taking risk might have not been the thing in my. I don't know if anybody could you rate if you're here feeling that and you might not have had the influence of just do whatever it is and go after it. Can you maybe share with me if you are maybe blocked by a thinking like that? I was kind of blocked by that. My parents love me to death and I love them, but I definitely wasn't raised in a home where like whatever you want to do, go do it. A lot of things kind of came with a caveat or like, but be aware or whatever, you know? So that was the thing that was really blocking me. And just through all of this is to step forward in that. My next point would be to read. And that's a do, not a don't. That's a do read because I was the one that said I don't read. And I'm so thankful that I've learned the reasons or the growth that reading has to offer. And I think a lot of us know this man right here. If you don't, I'm sorry. He's a pretty popular guy. He's done a lot of crazy, amazing things. It's a miracle that we get to open up this computer and see this. I know that this isn't his idea, the one that I'm on, which is Macintosh, but he's done some amazing things. But he said, I really had a lot of dreams when I was a kid. And I think a great deal of it grew out of the fact that I had a chance to read a lot. Such a simple but profound statement whenever you think about what this man has offered to this world. And so I want you to think if some of these people that pop on the screen, if you know who they are, or if you could recognize their face, I think all of us could at least recognize one of them. But if you think about it, they are some of the biggest teachers, or at least in my eyes. I mean, there's so many teachers out there, but these are some of the biggest teachers that have taught me in my life about business, about the things that I want to do to grow my future, about network marketing. And what's crazy is that they've taken all of their experiences in life and in their work, and they've put it into books. And these are some of the books that I've read by them because I wanted to soak up the knowledge that they were giving. I wanted to have that study guide in front of me, or at least on my shelf to where I could go back and pick it up and reread something or have the knowledge, because I left school. I left college after 2 years. So that education wasn't happening anymore. And I knew, and Carrie started to teach me about, you need to keep yourself in student mode. And then I started to understand that even people who have crazy degrees, when they're done with school, what does everybody want to do? They want to close the book and they want to just go out in life. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen, because I see people every day, people close to me who, or even just people that I run across, and you can just see that there's not this willingness to learn. There's not this yearning to get some information that could really move you forward. And that's sad. And I think all of us go through, I know all of us go through things in life. And then maybe you recognize these people who we look at as mentors to us. You know, both of these men, one directly influencing us to this day, and then another one who's in our company that have done the same thing. They've taken their experiences in life and in this business, and they put it into a book for us to be able to learn from and grow with. And then I think all of us know who this guy is. You know, same thing. I dream to be like this man. I watch him interact with people and being able to sit in rooms with him. And it's amazing how he is and how he brings his values to our company and to our community. But yet being such a powerful man in what he has accomplished in his life. And he's put it into a couple books for us as well. This is just one of them, but he has another book, you know, and they're so simple reads, but when you really get down to what they're saying, what's in them, it's amazing how much you learn and how much it can move you forward. And some people tell me this, and I like to hash this out for just a second, is that a lot of people talk about audiobooks, and don't get me wrong, I love audiobooks, but let's think about it this way. We listen to when we are listening to something, we're either in the car or we're working out, or I mean, I don't know if anyone sits quietly and just listens to an audiobook and stares at the wall, or like just listens and lets it soak in. We're usually doing something. It's usually so that way we can multitask, which is great. If you're like trying to, if you maybe you're listening to something that's just keeping the juices flowing and getting interaction out of your brain while you're doing something that's kind of monotonous, that's great. But if you really want to learn, this is what I see audiobooks doing, because you're doing something while you're listening to something, and there's just so much. I mean, I can read a page in a book and I can still feel when my brain goes off track when I'm reading a book. The great part is that I can go back and reread it, or it's right there for me to always see. The audiobook, I've listened to so many things, and I could rewind it and my brain goes off again, and I can rewind it and then my brain goes off, and I'll do that 10 times. And I'm like, it just doesn't, it's just so much, because you're doing stuff like you're driving, you got people cutting you off. If you live in Baton Rouge, you know what I mean. You got people cutting you off, and there's just craziness all over the place when you're driving, or when you're working out. You got a buddy that comes up, says, hey, or you're trying to get to the next weight set. You're frustrated because that dude's texting on his phone while you're trying to get your workout in. You know, you don't listen to what really could be the most impactful 5 words that somebody could say in a book, and we want to listen to it. And so I just want to say that if you have the trouble like I was when I was a kid, and I just couldn't, my reading comprehension was not my thing. It was not at all. I think that's why I left school, because I just can't, it was not easy for me to sit there and read something that I was not interested in, and it was giving me no passion. And so, yeah, I was that kid that I didn't want to read. I think I might have finished one of the picture books that my parents bought me whenever I was a kid. But nowadays, this is what I feel like. If Victoria and I are in a hotel, I'm like, can I get my reading in? Or, you know, sometimes it bums me out because I gotta figure out a way to work it in, and it might not always work in if I get to read. But luckily we have our house, and I get to have an office to where I can go and read in the morning. And actually this morning, Victoria walked in, and funny story, and I was like, babe, I'm in the middle of a great story right now. And I was kind of frustrated when she walked in, because she wanted to come tell me good morning. I was like, just give me a second. You know, it's like when you're watching a movie and your kid walks in. This is what I was when I was a kid. I'd walk in and be like, Dad. He'd be like, shh, something's good's going on right now. And that's because it's so interesting to me. But the reason is because I'm reading stuff that's giving me more juice to go in what we're doing. I'm reading books about business, and reading books about network marketing specifically, and what you can do to be better. I'm reading stuff about personal development, how to be better, how to learn. I'm reading a book right now. I think Mickey recommended it to Victoria, and I'm reading it now. It's called Fierce Conversations, because I want to learn how to have good conversations with people and really be able to be open and authentic and vulnerable, because I'm bad at that. And I'm reading books about somebody's success story, how they became successful. What was the ups and downs? What did they go through? How do they deal with those challenges? These are all things that you've got to put your brain in front of, and you've got to put it in a way that you're going to study it. Kerry tells me all the time, when he talks to a lot of the gentlemen that I talk to about this business, he says there's one book that I tell everyone to read, especially for our business, but just business in general. There's one book, and I tell them to study it, have a pen, have a highlighter, and take notes and highlight things that stand out. And he talks about Rich Dad Poor Dad. I shared that book earlier as far as one of those book suggestions, but he says, read it and study it. And that's what we want to do, is we want to read it, study it, and have the opportunity to really digest everything that this person is talking about. So one of my thoughts, and one of the things that I want to give to you, is if you really want to accelerate your growth, because accelerating in this business, there's personal growth comes with it, because it takes a lot to really do the things that Victoria is talking about. I never would have thought I'd go stand in a room with people that I don't know, talking about their business, trying to figure out a way to be able to network with them, to be able to present my business to them, whether it was going to matter to them or not, but present it in a way that was going to be inviting for both of us, or just to be able to have the conversation. So growth was needed. And that was 2 years after we had started. I never thought I would have done that. I never thought I would have stood in front of people who were high level individuals, me at 22 years old, and talk to a person who's a nurse director of 75 nurses at the biggest regional hospital in South Louisiana, and say, I think you should check this out. Like, I never would have thought that, but it took growth, it took guts, and you need that stuff backing you up. So let's take one book. if you read one book on average, and this is a Carrie Daigleism, if you've ever heard this one. If you read one book, yeah, add that one to your vocabulary. Carrie Daigleism. We're gonna make that. I'm gonna coin that phrase. But anyway, you read one book on average, it's about 15 chapters. That's about average book. And so if you read one book, 15 chapters, a chapter a day, that'll take you 15 days, right? Okay, so that's about 2 books a month on average. So you think about it this way. Think about how, if you were just to take those 8 books that I recommended earlier, and you were to go read them a chapter a day, and you were to keep doing that, and you were to do that throughout the year, this is actually how many books you would read in a year. It's 24 books. And think about all of the stories and the understanding and the learning and the knowledge that you'll get from so many different people, from so many different backgrounds. And even then, you might be able to read a couple books by the same people. I've done that, but you're learning so deeply from successful people. And some people say, I don't read. I'm still moving forward. That's great. Okay, let's take it this way. You want an edge on the opponent. I'm a competitor, so everything's a game to me. I'm not a sore loser, but I am a avid winner. I would like to win. And so if you're tied against your opponent, the one way to be able to stop making this happen where you're always tied is you got to apply a little pressure to get through that. And I'm a football guy. And now this presentation is a little dated. So when I was saying this, the Georgia Bulldogs were undefeated. And, if you're in the South and you're from Louisiana, you're salty no matter who's winning, and it's not LSU. And so I was doing this to play on the joke because we were in Georgia. But anyway, what do you do to apply pressure in football? I know this might be a man's thought, okay, but I think the women can relate. I mean, football is a pretty simple sport to understand. You blitz. Okay, what's a blitz? It looks like this. If you look on the right, it's people just all from all over the place going to try to get the ball. Okay, in a simple way of saying that. And so in football, it's kind of a risky move sometimes to do the all-out blitz. But that's what we want to do every single day. Is we want to just blitz your business every day. And so reading allows you to stay attacking in attack mode. And I'm not saying, like, I know Victoria just said, don't be a hunter, and I agree. But in my mind, I want to keep myself urgent. I want to keep myself in a position where I'm better than my opponent, and my opponent is me. My opponent is me holding myself back, like I said in the beginning. And so I'm reading every day. So if, let's say you blitz, you might be able to come out on the top end and you get a sack. Okay. This was a joke at the Georgia people in the room whenever we were presenting. So this was LSU sacking Georgia. I hope you understand the joke. Or let's say they blitz you, or you blitz, and you can, maybe the quarterback finds your vulnerability in your defense, and he runs and wins. Okay. I know it's just a little joke. I hope the men are laughing at this, but let's stay with the blitz. Okay. If you blitz in this business, you can be the real GOAT. Okay. Cause that's the real GOAT right there. Again, that was another joke at the Georgia Bulldogs. Okay. I'll stop with the jokes. Victoria thought my jokes were stupid, but this is really, if you look at on a time to numbers scale, okay, you keep applying pressure, you're going to do the numbers. Our business is just about continuing to share. It's not about continuing to find as many people that you can sell to. That's an awful way of looking at it. It's thinking about how many people you can grow in your network and let them know what you're here to do and the passion that you have, and be genuine about that and love that, and let them know that you love them and that this is something you care about and that you care about them and want them to understand. You will do those numbers. You will grow forward just from reading. Again, I'm still on the topic of reading. I know I've gone off on a tangent, but I hope you understand where I'm coming back to. But you become a magnet. You just bring those people to you, because now every time you go during the day, you got something marinating in your brain as becoming a better person, or looking forward to that day to be able to work on a skill, or just a thought of a way to love somebody a little bit better, or to understand them a little bit more clearly. Next thing you know, you start attracting that team. You attract those customers because they feel what you really mean now, because it takes time to understand how to articulate your message in a way that's going to be good. That's business. That's not just like, oh man, that sounds so challenging. No, that's business. Victoria was talking earlier about networking on purpose. We were standing in that room with other business owners. I don't think one of them was in network marketing, but we were standing in a room with business owners that were there doing exactly what we're doing. That's just business in general. That's just understanding how you can take entrepreneurial efforts in what we have here and put it into play and go forward. And reading is one of those things that's going to move you forward. So a little recap. Victoria loves recap, so I'm going to recap it real quick. Books allow you to look. I mean, that's a really funny picture, but that's what's going on. You're putting information, you're putting more knowledge. I stopped putting knowledge in my brain at 18 years old. And I finally realized, like, no wonder I'm not moving forward, because I'm not learning how to grow, and you can learn life examples and life things of business, network marketing, personal development, like stuff that I was talking about that can help you gain wisdom from people who have done it before and be able to put that and try that in your life. And there's skills that happen that you wouldn't get if you weren't trying to learn from people who have done it. Okay, I can sit on Zoom once a week with Mr. Carey. He's been so good in giving his time to me. But the skills that I have had to drum up came from, obviously Carey mentoring me and teaching me things, but also the books that I've read, because I could do that every week with him, but I'm going to forget it the minute we get off Zoom, and I'm going to go into my day, and I'm going to keep moving forward, and I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do that day. Whereas every morning when I wake up and read a chapter, I have something that I can meditate on and build a new skill every day. And so books create skills. They allow you to blitz all out every single day, because every day you get to have that simple, or just that one message to apply in every day. And maybe you can be a real goat. So that was my reading objective.
So good. And 2 points that I want to say there. One, I have someone messaging me asking for some book names. So I would love everyone, if you can go ahead and put your favorite book that you've read in your business journey in the chat, that would be great. My biggest one that I've read that's been the most influential is Get Over Your Damn Self. Miss Mickey recommended that one to me when I was a sales coordinator. And I was complaining about something, and she just handed the book to me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess she's telling me to get over myself. And it was so amazing. It was so amazing. So everyone, if you can put that in there. And then the second thing that I wanted to say, as far as reading, I mean, it's one of those things where many of us, we know we should be doing, but we're not doing it. I just do it. Life is better. Your business gets better when you do it. And I'm also speaking to myself, because he's the stronger reader out of the two of us. But the same thing comes true when it's Zoom, right? You can be on Zoom with your screen off and just multitasking, just like Patrick was just saying, or you can be on Zoom with a notepad taking notes. That's the difference. That's reading a book, is when you're on Zoom, screen on, taking notes, versus when you're just listening, multitasking. It's in one ear and out of the other. And if you want to do that, that's fine. That's great. But expect your business not to grow as much. Okay, so moving on, we're going to talk about not getting stuck on objections. And the cool part is there's only a couple objections. And once you learn how to confidently deal with them, you're no longer going to be concerned ever about objections. I'm never like, oh no, they said this. Like, no, I deal with it and I move on and it's gone. The end. Like it's just easy peasy to me, because I've learned how to deal with all of the objections. And there's 2 verbiages, I guess, that really have been influential for me, and I know for many others in our group. And one is feel, felt, found. And what that looks like, I'm going to give you some examples in a minute, but I know exactly how you feel. I actually felt that way too. But what I found was blah, 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 blah. And what that does is it allows them to be like, no, I get it. I know what you're going through, and I understand, I've been there. And it allows you to come down to their level, but then still share how you can move forward. And then the second one is would you? If I could, send you a video that explains how that's really going to improve your digestion, would you want to watch it? And I'm going to give you some examples, but these 2 verbiages have just been amazing. And we do them so much. We're actually, in our marriage, I will tell Patrick, like, if I sent you the grocery list, would you go to the grocery? And he's like, shut up. Or I'll say, another one will say is like, are you open? Are you open? Because a lot of people aren't going to say like, no, I'm not open. Instead of saying like, hey, are you interested? No, I'm not interested. Hey, are you open to understanding a little bit more about what this looks like? People aren't going to say, no, I'm not open. I'm closed. I'm a closed person. People aren't going to do that. So me and Patrick will be like, are you open to maybe doing the dishes for me today? Like we'll use that verbiage. So objections, right? We're going to have objections. It just is what it is. But what I like to do with objections is I like to fire back actually with a question. So when someone gives me an objection, instead of just like getting defensive, I like to sit back and kind of get more curious and ask a question to get more clarifying information, because that information is actually going to give me more knowledge in how I need to move forward. So we're going to look into some examples, and I am kind of fast. I try to slow down the best that I can, but I just recommend that you screenshot the screen because you're not going to be able to write it down. And then later go and add it into your notes, because we do want to respect people's times and we still have 2 more points. So the first objection, and we've all gotten this objection before, I don't have time to do this. Well, the clarifying question. Need some police to get some background noise. Okay, so I don't have time to do this. The clarifying question is, how much time do you think that you need? Because a lot of times people will be like, well, don't I need like 15 hours a week or 30 hours a week? Oh my God, no. So I don't have time to do this. How much time do you think you need? I don't know, like 10, like 3 hours a day or something? No. I know exactly how you feel. I actually felt that way too. Oh my gosh, when I started, I actually had 4 jobs. But what I found out is that busy people actually are the most successful in this business because they get things done. Most of us work this business really part-time hours around everything we already have going on in our life. If I could show you how to work this business with just 2 extra hours a week, would you still be open and continuing our conversation? Just like that. And what you saw, feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. That's what I felt too. This is what I found. If I, would you? Boom, rejection, gone. Next, I don't have the money to do this. I've heard that one. Okay, if money wasn't an issue, would there be anything else holding you back? I know exactly how you feel. When I started, I could actually barely afford my product either. But it hit me that if I can't afford $100 a month, something had to give. If I could show you how to make back the money that you spend within the first month, would you be open to hearing? Boom, objection, done. I don't want to bother my friends. What makes you think that you're going to be bothering your friends? And they're probably going to say, oh, I have a friend at Plexus or Melaleuca or whatever. They're going to say some other company and they just spam me all day. Oh my gosh, I totally hear you. I was actually afraid of the same thing when I started, but I'm glad to hear that that's your worry, because that is not what we do. If you're coming across like you're bugging someone, you are not being coachable and you are not following our simple system. Question: do you feel like I've been bothering you? And I always ask that question because I know that I'm not bothering them, because the way that I'm doing my business is professional. And if I feel like I'm a bother, I end it. I say, hey, look, clearly this isn't for you. I'm going to go ahead and stop asking. And I just step away. And they say, no, you haven't been bothering me. Well, why would I teach you to do anything different than what I'm doing right here? Right. And it kind of makes them be like, oh, geez, okay. So if I could teach you to share from the heart and not feel that yucky, bothersome feeling, would there be anything else holding you back? Nope. Okay, great. Let's get started. I don't know enough people. How many people do you think you need to know? I don't know, like 1,000? That was actually the first thing that I told my sponsor. I have no idea who I'm going to sell this to. I'm sure Miss Mickey remembers when I said that. Those were my exact words. And I realize now that we all know a lot of people, and we will help you jog your memory so that you can remember all the people that you've met in your life. Plus, this business is a great way to get to know people. We will teach you. You never know who's looking for exactly what you have to offer. Oh, I'm not a salesperson. Well, why do you think you need a sales background? I'm actually not looking for salespeople. I'm looking for people that are passionate and love to share things about things that they love. I'm also looking for people who like to help others. Does that sound like you? If it does, we can teach you how we do what we do. And let's face it, even those of us who have never been in traditional sales, we still sell. You actually just told me like 10 minutes ago that I should go to this restaurant because it was so good. What's the difference? You like something, you share it. It's the same thing that we do with our product. Move on. Oh, is this one of those pyramids? Well, what do you mean by pyramid? Instead of being like, oh my God, and you get worked up. I actually did that once in the beginning of my business. I got so defensive and I was like screaming at them. I was like, no, this isn't a pyramid. But I just sit back now and I say, well, what do you mean by pyramid? And they'll say like, oh yeah, it's where the person at the top makes all the money. And I'll say, okay, well, let me understand. Where do you work? Oh, you work at McDonald's. Okay, so the person, your boss, right? Okay, they don't make more money than you. Oh, they do. Okay, yeah. So what's the difference? And I just kind of let them. No difference. The only difference is actually I could pass my sponsor up. Not really, because my sponsors are the Daigles, but I could pass my sponsors up and I can make more money than them. You can't do that with your manager. There's not another position available. And then I also say, also, did you know, this is kind of funny, pyramid schemes are actually illegal. And Juice Plus, it's been around for 50 years. So I think if it was a pyramid, it might have been caught by now. And I just kind of laugh and look at them dead in the eye. And they're like, oh God, I'm so sorry for bringing this up. And then I also say, and just to educate you, pyramid schemes also don't sell a product. It's just an exchange of money. But if you're asking if this is network marketing, absolutely. I would not be in it if it wasn't. And one thing that I will say too is, oh, no, it's not a pyramid, but are you looking for one? Are you looking for a pyramid scheme? And you just kind of play humor with them and it lightens it a lot more. So those are the main rejections. And what I always think is look yourself in the mirror and ask, what are you getting the most rejections on out of all of those? Like objections, sorry. What are you getting the most objections on? Because if you're getting a lot of objections on pyramid, then you don't have a strong enough belief in the fact that this is not a pyramid. If you're getting most objections on time, you also don't think that you have the time. So you are a direct reflection of what people are going to think. And the excuses that we tell ourselves or our sponsors is a whole nother realm of excuses. And these become really powerful because, we can help someone overcome something, but what's more hard is helping us overcome something, right? So these are the things that we're going to tell to ourselves. And this is one of the ones that we're going to tell ourselves, and it's going to prevent us from moving forward. Oh, I don't have time to do this. I'm really busy. That's fine. I mean, if you don't have time to do this, don't worry. Don't kid yourself or don't kid your sponsor when you say, I want to be a national marketing director by the next conference. Because if you don't have time to do this, then sorry, it's just not going to happen. Like it's just logistically is not going to happen. And we've had conversations with people before who tell us a goal and we're like, hey, with the time that you're putting in, I don't see this happening. Now, if you want to change your priorities and you want to work a little bit harder, then yeah. And it's not just the time to have it, but what are you doing with your time? Because if you're just doing gilly-gaggy stuff, no, it's just not going to happen. Like gilly-gaggy. You have to be sharing the product. You have to be sharing the business. That is what building this business is. Nothing else. This Zoom call, good for you for getting on, but guess what? This isn't growing your paycheck. Like you have to go and talk to people. Another thing that we tell ourselves is, yeah, I'm talking to enough people. And I'll ask, okay, what's the names of the people that you're talking to? And they'll say 4 people. And I'm like, and I don't want to downgrade that. That's amazing. That's great. But it's not, there should be more. We've got to always talk to more. And that's also myself, right? We can always be talking to more. You have to be talking to so many people. I mean, to be able to get 2 people to join you a month, you've got to be having like 100 conversations a month. I mean, it's just so many numbers have to be going through. I can only sell the products. Well, yeah, because you're only talking about the products. How often are you posting on your social media about the flexibility of your business? You have to be sharing about that too. I don't want people to think, I don't want to be that person that people run away from. Well, me neither. Me either. Don't be like that. Like, don't post those types of things that feel like spammy. I mean, just don't be like that. There's so many different ways we can do this business. I don't have what it takes to be a leader. That's baloney. because we've had and we've seen enough stories in this business of people who had no experience and now they're six-figure earners, or they're national marketing directors, or whatever. You know, they weren't born with these leadership skills or this determination or organization, but they've learned it, right? They read the books on how to become that and they became that. And then excuses. The excuses is what's holding us back, but we can drop those and stop having the objections, then we'll really be able to move forward. The reason that people fail is because they're not coachable. They're not listening to their sponsors. I've experienced it. I've probably done it myself as well. When your sponsors tell you something and you think you know better. I've done it. I have people do it to me. I mean, we just have to be coachable. They don't treat this like a business. How much time are you spending inviting people to take a look? Ask yourself, in the past month, how many people have you invited to take a look at the business? That might be scary to ask yourself. 0, 1. That's not going to build you to national marketing director, right? Or PMD plus, or whatever you're working towards. We've got to be talking to more people. And then they're not willing to get uncomfortable. There has been some uncomfortable things that we have done. I mean, I've cringed so many times in this journey of like doing something. So I'm like, oh God, I just, oof. And it works, you know, getting uncomfortable. And then they're not hungry enough. And for me, I think that this was my biggest blessing, is that I was starving. I was starving to have success in this business because it was make this business work or get a job. So we have 2 more points and we're going to try to move through these very fast.
So my next one is don't stop. And it sounds pretty simple, but we got to understand it really fully when it comes to this. I like to tell people that the beauty of this business is time and effort are really the 2 things that are holding you back. Because, and when I say time, it's not necessarily always the amount of time you're willing to give each and every day in your business. It's about the amount of time you're willing to stay with it and continue to give that consistent effort. So they go together and they work together. But if you don't stop, I like to use Mr. Forrest Gump as a way to describe this picture, because we all know, well, if you haven't seen Forrest Gump, it's probably one of the best movies to ever be made, but you should go watch it. But I think most of us have probably watched it. And what did Forrest do? He didn't stop running that day he started running. And I think he ran for like 3.5 years or something like that. But we'll get back to that story in a second. So being willing to not stop, it's a mindset. You know, I think, and y'all have heard me, I refer to him all the time, but Kerry Daigle has just he's just helped me see so much. He's been a coach to me. I'm an athlete, so he's coached me just like a coach would have coached me back in athletics, and it's helped me to understand the possibilities and really seeing the difference in these mindsets, a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. You know, this is where I was. You know, failure is the limit of my abilities. I'm either good at it or I'm not. That's a fixed mindset. I'm either good at it or I'm not, and I can't get good at something that I'm not. I don't like to be challenged. I either can do it or I can't. You know, these are just things that put a limit on what you can really do. And growth mindset is just it's just, I mean, really, if you can make it even simpler, it's just a positive mindset, finding the good in everything, being able to look at something that could be totally bad and be able to still find the positive. I think I've aggravated Victoria before with some times where she's been, or we've been frustrated, and I've tried to just beat it into my brain on finding the positive, and it doesn't make her very happy when I do that. But anyway, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing, but we'll keep it as a good thing. But show up when you don't feel like showing up. It's because if you have that growth mindset, if you have that positive mindset, you're going to see this even as a different way. I like to say it a little differently. Show up every single moment like you're meant to be there. I think that's a different way of spinning it and a different way of looking at it. And I'm actually going to back up real quick and let's read that again. Show up when you don't feel like showing up. Okay, I think that puts a negative connotation onto that. Like, you don't want to be there, but I'm going to show up anywhere. I don't think you're going to give your best effort. But even when the moments aren't as beautiful as they seem, but you show up like you're meant to be there, like then you know that you can be a light to something that can feel so dreadful or aggravating to be there, and be able to find a way to make that moment fruitful to life, or to your life, or to somebody else's life. And so I think a lot of us have fell short of our expectations before. Maybe it was early in the business, maybe it was late in the business, whatever it may be. You know, we've had the chance to see people go through through these struggles at many different times, and maybe didn't stay true to what they wanted to do, or to their vision, and they let themselves fall out. And I'm sad for that. But you gotta be able to take your expectations, look at them a little bit differently. Let's say you're going after a promotion and maybe you fell short of it a little bit. Why look at it as fell short? I'm done. This didn't happen. I think I'm just going to stop doing this all around. That's awful, because with the beauty of what's happening, yeah, we have our promotions and those are great, but this is growing a business. If you look at a traditional business, I don't think somebody's got like bonuses coming at them whenever they're just trying to start their business up from the ground. And that's what we're doing. We're starting a business from the ground. We're bringing in customers into our store every day. We're talking to people who want to franchise out and do more. I mean, and do this for themselves. We're doing that. But our promotions are just awesome incentives that our company gives. That's the beauty and the generosity of our company. That's not really what's going on. I mean, we want to stay, don't get me wrong. We got to work for the promotions. Those are going to help us scale our business. That's a business plan given to you in a way that's going to pay you for executing the business plan. Again, like, I don't know if that happens anywhere else, but we have an awesome opportunity. But if you get frustrated on not hitting your expectation or your plan or your goal, you're missing the point. The point is that we get to grow a business and we get to continue to do the work every single day and bring new customers and new team members into our business. And that's the effort that we should be locked in on and focused on. Because I remember Michael Heck, he was our regional sales director for a long time. Some of the new people might not have met Michael Heck at all, but he's over a different area of our corporate team now. But he said, "Patrick, you want to fix the problem?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Add new team, add new customers. That's how you fix the problem." And I was like, and I was kind of frustrated when he said that to me, because it was like the football coach telling me something I didn't want to hear. But I sat back and I listened to it, and it made sense, because that's what we're doing. That's our business. It's just add new team, add new customers. And so what I say is get with your support team, because your support team is whether it's, I mean, find the one that you feel is going to pour into, or is not going to pour there. Find the one that you're going to feel is going to give you the most. Okay. And ask them, because I guarantee you, your support team is willing to meet with you. They're willing to help you, but you got to put in, they got to feel some tension in that rope. If they're going to give you something, they want to feel you taking that and running with it. So I would say, if you're going to meet with somebody and ask for their time, you got to be willing to take that and go do something with it. But ask your support team, because when you start to think together and you find light bulbs go off and you figure out the things that's holding you back, or if you figure out the opportunities that you can move forward with. This was just a goofy meme. It wasn't really meant to be a joke, but surround yourself with people that are smarter than you. This is something that this is a kind of a Kerry Daigleism, but he's like, all my smart friends are around. I hang out with smart people because they teach me how to be better. And that's what I want to do. I just want to hang out with people who've done it before. So this point's pretty short. And I'm going to come back to the Forrest Gump analogy, but in this race that we're running with our business, it's a long-term race. And at the beginning, you might look crazy. And I remember when you watch the movie Forrest Gump and he started running, everybody's like, what is this dude doing? Is he stupid? Is he, what's his agenda with this? Cause he's not even telling anyone, and he's just going after it. And I felt like that whenever I started, because I had a lot of stinking thinking people around me that didn't understand a lick of what I was talking about. My parents had done other network marketing companies for very short times, had zero success with it, had very terrible experiences with it. So they were really not understanding why I was all in for this company. They really didn't understand it. And that was okay with me. And I was willing to push through that. But when you start to have success and you start to push through those things that are holding you back, and you start to have that team around you, and you start to have customers coming in, then the people start to ask you the questions, kind of like what happened right here with Forrest Gump. But they're asking you questions, they're looking at you like you're crazy, and they might be making fun of you, and but they're asking questions, and they're listening, and they're watching, and they're paying attention. And that's a very powerful moment right there, because now you've been doing the growth and you've been doing the work in yourself and what's been happening in your life. And now people start to when they're paying attention, they're really listening to what you're saying. And if you're doing the right thing, you're going to be saying the right words. And next thing you know, they're going to be watching, and they're going to be soaking up everything they're doing. And they're going to be they're going to be starting a little closer to cheering you on. They're going to be a little bit closer to being in your corner and going to bat for you. And there's been plenty of times where I felt like on an island, and I felt like nobody, like, I had my buddies at work making fun of me. I had my friends in the fitness industry, like, what is this stupid stuff that you're selling? They just didn't get it. They didn't get it. They didn't get what we have. And I feel sorry for them because it just makes too much sense. And whatever, but they're watching, they're paying attention. And some of those people that were saying those things, doing those goofy things, they turned around and they started following me, and they started to take the journey with me. And that is when that starts to happen. That's what you got to be working towards. Okay. And I know some people who are in our team who have been going through those moments, and I went through it with them, for myself and in their shoes. And we were just working with it together, but we were meeting with each other. We were supporting each other, and we were talking about those things, continuing to work on the positive mindset, continuing to figure out how we can stay true to what we're doing through the negativity that's going to happen. And I hope if you've heard us talk about negativity, it's because Victoria and I really like to be super honest with people, because there's negativity that comes with this. There's, like she said, you have to accept a temporary loss of self-esteem from ignorant people. They don't know what they don't know. I'm gonna say that again. They don't know what they don't know. And when that happens, when they say something that is ignorance, and I'm not using ignorance as an ugly word. A lot of people use that word ugly, but I'm using ignorance as just a frank word. It is that they don't know what you know. And you have to continue to share openly, passionately, and courageously with them, for them to be able to maybe soak it in. And you might leave a conversation and say, man, I was so vulnerable with them, and I told them what I wanted to tell them. And it still seemed like they walked away and they didn't hear a word I said. No, they did. They did hear you. They just got to go listen. They got to go home and they got to soak it in. And they might be a little frustrated because you just told them something that totally contradicted their core beliefs. We all have huge egos in this world. And when we get challenged, it's frustrating, and that happens, y'all. But what I don't want you to leave here is think that when we're talking about the negativity of what might come at you, we don't want you to think of it as something that you should be scared of. Because the beauty is that when you lean into that and you choose courage over comfort, that's a Brene Brown, I think, quote. When you choose courage over comfort is whenever you really start to impact people in ways that make a huge difference. I'm going to call out my friend, Mr. Arnold Brown, on here. We had some really intimate conversations about what was going on in our lives and what we've been through. And I saw this guy, a couple years older than me, might know a few more things than me, travel the world. And I thought, man, what I might say, he might call BS to me. And no, he got curious again with me. Now, Arnold's got a big heart and he's a loving person, but I've had people where I've got real close with them and they've said some ugly things back to me. And I was like, you know what? I loved them, and that's all I care. That's all that matters. But the more you do that, the more you have those people that follow. And that's why I use the Forrest Gump analogy, because a guy who nobody believed, maybe because he was a little, he seemed different. Okay. People still followed him and saw the joy of what he said. And his story is amazing. And it's still a movie that people watch to this day. It's such a simply a profound example of what happens when you just love and believe in what you have. And so I'm turning back to Victoria for her last point.
All right, last point. I know we're a lot over time, but I hope you guys are grabbing some of these points. If so, let's see it in the chat that you're still alive and listening. If you're gathering anything that you like, let's see it in the chat. If you're getting anything from this so far, none of y'all are listening. Okay, we've got Debbie Swanson listening. Good. Good. A couple people are commenting in the chat now. Okay, last point. And I really want you guys to dig in here because this is my story, but don't buy into the lie of a rut. I'm stuck. My team's not working, or I've been at this position for so long, blah, 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 blah. So when we all start this business, we're usually at a place where we feel very happy, right? We are excited. This is a brand new opportunity for me. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Everything is great, right? But then sometimes some of us, somewhere in our business, usually a year, 2, 3 in, we get to this place where we feel like some of that excitement died, even just a little bit of it. And I know this happened to me, and that's part of my story that I'm going to share. But 4 years ago, when I started, I had the belief that I was going to do business with all of these people that, and some of them are still here, but I thought that this team that I had right here was my forever team. I thought that this was going to be the people that I was always with. And that is not what happened. You know, I was so convinced of Juice Plus. I mean, I was so confident in what I had. I was so confident in my future. I mean, I had to tell everyone about Juice Plus, so much so that at Jill, one of our team members, she hosts a Halloween party with a bunch of doctors there and nurses. I had us dress up as Juice Plus. Why? Because anyone that didn't know about Juice Plus was going to find out that night. I mean, I was just Juice Plus girl. Like, I was so much, and I was so happy, and I was thriving, right? And there was one day where it was during COVID. Patrick and I slept in, and we went and worked out, and we worked out with our little pup Scooter. He looks so cute in that picture. And we got home, and we were just starting to do some work and kind of just a regular day in our life. And I remember Patrick saying, "Oh my God, this is the life." And I sat in that moment thinking, no, I want a different life. And somewhere in my journey, I lost my spark, right? I lost that feeling of gratitude. I lost that feeling of like, wow, this is the life. I lost that. And somewhere, sometimes in our passion, you know, when we're doing our passion, I just had to like ask myself, why did I lose my passion? It's very common. You know, people will be working out and they love it, and then that passion kind of fades. Or your marriage, you know, maybe you've been married and that passion kind of fades. And I really got that to that point where I knew what I had was great, but I didn't know why I didn't feel that passion about it. So I got really curious. You know, I really dug in and I tried to understand what went wrong in my head. What am I thinking that's incorrectly? Why don't I feel grateful for what I have? Because what I had was amazing. I was paying our bills without even the slightest bit of worry, right? I had an amazing paycheck. I had all the time in the world. I had a great team, but that passion, you know, that passion, I felt like I was just going through the motions. So I got very curious and I really dug in and I tried to understand. And I realized, and this was before I made national marketing director, that what happens is when we have expectations and we don't meet them, that's what causes that discomfort. And that's what causes that decrease in passion. And I realized I had expectations of what my business was going to look like at this point, and I didn't meet them. I thought I was going to be a national marketing director when I was 22. I was 25 when I made it. But I had an expectation, right? I had expectations that certain people weren't going to leave my team. I had expectations, and they just kept not being met. You know, maybe I had an expectation that I was going to hit my promotion, and then I didn't. And it was just one thing after another where it started to really just break me down. And this is kind of some examples, but I had the expectation that every customer of those long, loyal customers, I thought that they were going to stay with me. You know, I didn't think that they were going to cancel. I had that expectation that I was going to zoom straight to the top to NMD. I had the expectation, like I said, that these people were still going to be in my business today, and some are, but some aren't. And I had the expectation that this business wasn't going to cause really hard conversations in my marriage. I had the expectation that it was all going to be rainbows and butterflies, and I wasn't going to feel anxiety and depression and sadness and hardship. But I learned that I had to turn my expectations and turn them into appreciation, because you can't have, you can't be grateful and upset at the same time. Like there's many things like that. And what I realized is, yeah, it was my expectation that I was going to make it to NMD when I was 22 years old. But I'm so glad that I didn't, because now that I've went through the middle, I've went through a challenging season, I can now sit at a table and say, that struggle that you're going through, no, I've been there. And this is how I overcame it, because it taught me now how I'm going to be able to help my team go through that middle, that middle part of when we're trying to get to that next promotion. It was my expectation that all of my loyal customers weren't going to cancel, but I'm so glad that they did, because now I learned how I can care for my customers better. Now I learned how to do better customer appreciation and to care for them and call them and check in and keep them forever and ever. It was my expectation that all of these people were still going to be active in my business today and in my structure. But I'm so thankful that they didn't, because these people that came into my life, I knew that these are the people that God had for me to make NMD with. It was my expectation that this business wouldn't cause hard conversations in my marriage, but I'm so thankful that it did, because now Patrick and I have a better understanding of each other, and we really, really have a very strong marriage because we've had to have lots of hard conversations in the beginning. It was my expectation that I wasn't going to have challenges, and that I didn't constantly have to have this feeling like I could be doing something more. But I turned that into grace, which also turned into growth and helps me turn it into gratitude. And what happens is I continue to have grace. I was able to have grace for not just myself, but my team. And as I continued to grow, I was also able to teach my team how to grow. And as I continued to have gratitude, I learned that I couldn't have gratitude and also feel discouraged, because I had to learn that I had a lot to be grateful for. And so as I continued to stand up and keep going through the motions, other people kept standing up, going through the motions and doing it and getting better at it and speaking out and speaking up. And as you can see, it tripled down and quadrupled down. And now we have people all over that are boldly standing up and sharing their stories. And so now I'm able to show up to an event with grace and happiness and be able to be there for all of our team as we continue to grow. And you can see that there's been so many relationships that have been developed over the years that they're life relationships. They're relationships that we can never let go of because we stayed the course, right? And another thing that we can do, and so all of that is to say, is that there's going to be hardships, right? There's going to be parts where it's challenging, but dig in and get curious and understand, why is it that I'm feeling this and how do I overcome it? And you overcome it by continuing to show up. Even when it feels, I've learned in my life that when I have a season where I feel like I have nothing happening, whether it usually takes 2 years for me to get out of it. I had that happen in my fitness journey where 2 years I felt like I was just showing up and doing the motions and showing up and doing the motions, and then something magical happened. I felt that in my relationship with God. I was just showing up and doing the motions. It's as if I'm just doing the motions, and then something magical happened. And the same thing happened in my business. I was just showing up, and God, I kept showing up. Y'all saw me the past 4 years. I was here. I was doing the work. I was doing the events. I was showing up, but inside it felt like nothing was happening. And then guess what? Stuff started happening. So you have to keep showing up. Another thing that we can do is we can change our physical. And this is interesting. So I want you to think, so if I tell you that behind this curtain, there's a little guy and he's depressed, what do you think he looks like? He probably looks like his shoulders are forward, his head's down, and he's just kind of looking up like this. How do we know that? How do we know that? Because we've been there. We've all been there. We've all had that posture before. He probably looks like this, right? And sometimes we look like that and we don't even know why we're looking like that. So what can we do? The way that we put our posture, there's been research to show the way that we put our posture is directly going to affect the choices and the risks that we take. So if you're feeling low and you're feeling like this, and posture is something I think we can all work on, try sitting like this for 2 minutes and watch how your demeanor changes. When you're in a room at an event and you're trying to meet new people and you're just, taking up a little bit of space, take up more space and see what happens. You're going to start to attract those people taking up more space. Those are the people you need in your business, the ones that are walking around confident. So just simple posture change. I mean, right now where you're sitting, I really encourage you, fix your posture, sit like a power pose, like put something wide, make sure you're big and you're bold in that moment. And you're going to watch right now how your attitude and your mental thinking is literally about to change. And then even physically, and I'm not saying you have to do anything to your appearance, but, very often in my journey, when I'm working at home, I look like this, right? My hair is a mess. I'm in my pajamas or my workout sports bra. But what I had to realize when I was going through that season is, yeah, I was showing up sluggish because I looked sluggish. I mean, just do a little something, put on a cute jacket and a headband. Like I'm actually wearing that headband today. Put on whatever you need to put on. You're going to show up differently. You will show up differently. I remember when I first started, Mr. Carey used to tell me, hey, this is an event you need to fix your hair for. And I was like, why is he telling me that? But I realized because how I showed up was going to matter, how I showed up. And it's not like you have to do all these huge things. I mean, my hair is literally fresh out of bed, but I put on a headband. I put on whatever I needed to do to make it look like I put forth a little bit of effort, right? And even when you're at home by yourself, I recommend that you do this because dress for how you want to be addressed. It's going to affect how you play, and it's going to affect how you feel of yourself and the confidence that you put out into this world. And then maintain the relationships with people that inspire you. This is so huge. And I want to be just really honest with you guys. I mean, most of you guys are, we're all keep punching. And you guys might say, well, you and the Daigles have some type of special bond. I mean, they must always call you to come over. And what's funny is what a lot of people don't know is I'm the one that invites myself over. I call and I say, hey, when can I come over this week? I force myself to them almost a lot of the times because I know that I need to be around them. If I'm not around them, I just start coming down from my high. Why? Because they're who I'm modeling. They're who I want to become. And if I don't hang around them, what's going to happen is I'm going to hang around other people and I'm going to become like them. And maybe they're not the people that I want to become. So you have to put yourself into those people. If you don't have people like that, find them. There's people that we hang out from our church that are they are so well known in our church and so respected. And I messaged them on Facebook and I said, hello, my name is Victoria. I would love to have dinner with you and your husband because my husband and I are always looking to put ourselves around people that we admire to be. And now they're like mentors to us. We talk about marriage and we talk about real estate and like all these other things, but we seek that. People don't just come in and ask to mentor us. Like, no, I aggressively insert myself into their life. And it's not like rudely, but it's just like, hey, like I really want to be like y'all. Miss Mickey will always joke and Patrick will joke with me because I've become so much of I surround myself and I mirror what I want to be. And I'll do everything Miss Mickey does. Like even when it comes to furniture, like my office, when you'll see it, it's a miniature version of hers. And my furniture, we're getting a new dog. And I'm like, Miss Mickey, what kennel did you have? I'm gonna have that one. And he's like, you don't have to do everything she does. And I'm like, no, I do. I do because I want to be like her. So it's silly, but it's just true of like, you're gonna become who you hang around and who you model. And then this is closing up here, but you have to make sure that you're filling up your own cup. Right? What are the things that make you happy? Because often we put ourselves on the back burner. And I used to do this and I started doing better at this. And I really feel more confident in myself and I feel better. Like some things that I love are shopping. I love shopping. Like I really, really do. I don't know why, but I love to buy house decor and clothes. I love to have lazy time with Patrick where maybe we just like watch a movie and we're just laying down together. I love when I am doing well with my food and my exercise. I love plans and organization. Like I will like to just sit down and organize. I love baths. So I make sure that I give myself time to take a bubble bath every day, because that's just a little thing that makes me happy. And those are the things that matters. I love when we're doing well financially. I love when we have a plan, we're working our finances. I love the sun. I love to speak at public events. I love worship. I love productivity. So I make sure that I'm doing things that fill up my own cup. So I recommend you draw your cup and you think about, what are those things that make me happy, and do them. It's a priority. It is a priority, because you are important. And if you're not doing these things for yourself, you're not going to show up full. You're going to show up empty, and you're better when you're full. So we have to hold tight to our passion, because we're going to have seasons where our passion dims, of course. But how do we hold tight to it? Because I could have easily quit. There are so many times I could have easily quit, but I held my passion so hard. Like, even when I just didn't even want to hold it, I was just holding it, and I was mad that I was holding it, but I didn't let go. And if you lose your passion, you lose your place in line. And I made sure, even if I was confused and just whatever, I was still in the herd. I was still in the herd. I was still in the Zooms. I still was at the conferences. I was still hosting the events, because I didn't want to find myself out here. I didn't. And when you get out there, guess what? You got to start at the back of the line. And I was not having it. So hold your passion tight, because what happens is we don't leave. Like, we don't lose our passion. We leave it. If you feel like you don't have it, that's not because it happened. It's because you did it. And often, COVID played into my role of why I felt that feeling, because I didn't like being hunkered down. But we leave our passion. We don't lose it. And so what do we do to get it back? Like, if I feel like maybe I don't have my passion right now, what do I do to get it back? Well, you do the things that you did at first, right? Because we get out of it. It's just like marriage. Like, oh, I don't feel like my marriage is spunky or fun anymore. Well, you're not doing what you used to do. You used to maybe flirt or go on dates and like surprise each other. Now you're not doing it. So of course you're not feeling it anymore. You have to do what you did at first. And so maybe you might say, well, I don't feel grateful anymore. I don't feel grateful for my business anymore. Well, be grateful. Just say you're grateful, because even if you start saying it, you're going to start believing it. Just say you're grateful for it. Or I don't feel excited anymore. Well, be excited. And that might look like someone asks, like someone that's real with you, someone you're not trying to recruit. How's your business? And you might say, oh, it's just not that good. Like, da, 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 da. Say, you know what? I'm grateful for it. I have a lot of work that I want to do, but I'm grateful for it, and I'm excited for what this future is going to be. Isn't that going to give you a different outcome than, oh, it's not good, nothing's working, I don't feel loved anymore? Well, be loving. If you don't feel like your team's loving you, love on them. And so talk business. Like, how does that look like business from a business standpoint? Well, one, you host an event. Don't wait for me to do it. Don't wait for your sponsor to do it. You host it. You host an event. Are you getting 2 to 5 customers a month? Are you getting a team member? Are you getting a new promotion every month? Not just of you, but your team. Are you doing the reading, the personal development? Are you on Zooms? Are you active on social? Do the things you did at first. You're going to watch momentum come back. You have to do the things you did at first. So what do we do in the middle? Trade our expectations for appreciation. It's all about what we think. If we're saying our business sucks, it sucks. But if you say you're grateful and you're excited and you're moving forward, then that's what you're going to see in your business. Change your physical, your posture. How are you standing when you're around people? What are you wearing? What do you look like? I had to do things to make myself look like I'm showing up better. I did my eyebrows to where they look like they look good. I don't know. I had to do things like maybe buy new clothes, whatever you have to do to show up and look good when you show up. It doesn't matter. I mean, Mr. Carey, when do you ever see him not decked out looking good? And guess what? People say, what the hell does this man do? He always looks like that. It's how you show up. Maintain and seek inspiring relationships. These typings and spellings are awful. Fill up your own cup and do the work. So that's our whole presentation. Just total recap. I know it was really long. We're going to have a recording, but the total recap is do paint your vision. Patrick went through that. Do understand the fundamentals, what are those? Talk to people, share with people, do read. You have to be reading. What book are you going to go buy right now? And then don't get stuck on objections. Once we know them, we got them, move on. Number 5 is don't stop, keep going, and don't get stuck in the middle. You have to keep doing what you did at first. So sorry for the length of this, but I hope you guys all grabbed lots of information.